Well, hi again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football. This is our draft prospect show, and along with me is our founder, our father of the introduction of the nation of the podcast, and that's Vincent Turner. Logan Landers is our producer and engineer. And as you may notice, behind me isn't the normal bookshelves. I'm in Los Angeles, California. Vincent allowed me the privilege of being able to visit my dear sweet mother, Joan LaBelle, on her birthday yesterday. So I'm still here in town. And Vincent, thank you for allowing me to be extended a little bit of liberty and still do a great podcast. I'm looking forward to the one today with Nick Emmanwori.
Well, first and foremost, we truly would have missed you. So stop telling that little lie out there, because you are part and you are the king of 100 Yards Football. And happy birthday to Miss LaBelle. She raised an excellent son. And we're very proud here to have you as part of 100 Yards of Football and our front man. Back to you, Hart.
Well, happy 94th birthday. I say that with an asterisk next to it because I'm not quite sure. She's lied about her age so long that nobody knows how old she is. So we're going to do that. Thanks, Mom. Thanks for not knowing exactly how many years old you are. But I love you and wish you a happy birthday and everything else that's associated with that. And before we continue, let's just quickly say mybookie.ag is a spot with the Final Four now being over. And if you won your bracket and took advantage of all that interior knowledge that you took all the way with Florida being a part of the national championship basketball team, congratulations to you. But the season and the rest of the year goes on. How about that? If you'd like to take advantage of it, use promotional code MM50. That's Mary 50 at mybookie.ag. You can go online, you can log in, you originate your account, you fund the account, and next thing you know, you can bet on baseball. NBA playoffs are coming up. You can bet on NHL hockey, which is about to come up. Or, Vincent, you can talk about NFL draft picks, and they might have some prop bets about where Nick Emmanwori, the safety from South Carolina, is going to be. What an exciting day to talk about this young man. He is a 3-in-1 player for me. He can play safety. He can play linebacker, even though he's not a linebacker, and he's a special teams monster. You get 3 guys with 1 pick.
I think this young man, when you're looking at his ability, I'm going to call him Nicky E today, safety out of South Carolina. Big guy, 6'3", 227, but he puts me in the mind of all the great safety that's went on to the next level at the NFL. Kenny Easley out of UCLA, Steve Atwater out of University of Arkansas, Kyle Hamilton, who's out locally out of Atlanta area playing for the Baltimore Ravens by way of Notre Dame University. But I think when this young man's career is all over, with the strength of him playing all, like you said, 3-1, he's going to be the next Sean Taylor, the outstanding safety out of you that became a mainstay with the Washington Redskins / Commanders. This guy has what I call Pro Bowl ability from head to start. Back to you, Hart.
Well, one of the things, that's a very interesting scenario because Sean Taylor was a difference maker from the very beginning. And even though we lost him way too early, my thought was more of a Cam Chancellor type role where he's already on a really good Legion of Boom defense and he fits his role perfectly and he can plug and play and do different things in there. But Sean Taylor is another interesting. You talked about the strength, the size. Vincent, let's talk about the speed. A 4.3, 840. Are you kidding me? This guy is loaded with speed, and that's another one of the factors, at least in my opinion, that makes him a difference maker.
43-inch vertical. Now, we just got through watching the Houston Cougars and losing their final game to the Florida Gators in the NCAA championship game. But when I say the Houston Cougars, I'm going to go back to 83. Mr. Nick E got that vertical. Akeem Olajuwon, 5-slammer jammer. Back to you, Hart.
Yeah, I figured you'd go 5-slammer jammer before you went anyone else. And by the way, I'm a little disappointed that you didn't give me a pig suey right after you said Steve Atwater's name. We'll work on that during the post-game show that we do. Nick Emmanwori, 6'3", 220 pounds, 4.38 in his 40. He was number 1 in height. He was number 1 in his 40. He was number 1 in his vertical. He was number 1 in his broad jump. And he was number 1 in his 10-yard shuttle when he was at the combine. You would say that's all I need to know, right? Well, there's more. He's a great cover guy. He is fast enough to be able to get off route when he's covering somebody in man-to-man, but then get back on it. And by the way, the strength, the speed. You combine those, you put him down in the box. He is a monster when it comes to defending against the run, especially if he's within the first 8 to 10 yards of the line of scrimmage. He is excellent, Vincent, at picking out screens and draws and misdirection plays, and he blows them up. That's the word that comes from the scouting report. He blows them up. That's the type of guy that I would want on my roster. But right now he's listed maybe late in the first round. Is there anything that you've seen that would justify him not being a top 15 or even a top 10 pick?
I think once the draft happens in 2 weeks, I think we're going to see this young man move up the draft boards. All I know is this right here. When I judge a player, there's 2 things I look at. I look at his athletic ability. I look at what team he plays for, the competition. Now, he played in the SEC, right? Production, 244 tackles in 37 games, 14 tackles for losses, 6 interceptions, 11 pass breakups. To me, as I said earlier, a few seconds ago, Pro Bowl ability, all pro. And the only reason I didn't bring up Steve Atwater, Pig Seward, and I'm going to put it out there, I think Nicky E is going to be a better player than him when it's all said and done. This gentleman right here, pound for pound, might be the best player in the 2025 NFL draft. Back to you, Harp.
Okay, now we're on the same page because everything I'm seeing right now is a 3-in-1 player. It's the quarterback. He's just going to play quarterback for you. I get it, but you get some defensive tackles. Can you move them to the outside? You really don't want to because that's not their position. Can you move them back into coverage? But this guy can do it all. Let me give you an example, by the way. Because he's big enough to be in linebacker, he can cover running back. Because he's big enough and he can cover the tight ends, guess what? He can do that as well. Because he's fast enough, he can cover a wide receiver. Now, does he have trouble against wide receivers that are a little faster than him? Who doesn't? That's what I'm saying. He's a 3-in-1 on defense. And when Coach Bremer, by the way, they're 1 game away from being in the championship playoff. Part of the reason is because of Nicky Emmanwori and the defense and how good they were and how they turned it around early in the season. They started to believe in each other in a different way. And it was very difficult with the SEC schedule to score against these guys. And South Carolina, as you know, Vincent, they were the team. Florida, kind of on the edge. Memphis was kind of on the edge. Tulane was right on the edge. But South Carolina was one of those ones why didn't you pick us? We should have gone.
They should have been in the college football playoffs. And kudos to Coach Beamer. He had a championship, I want to say, college playoff team that could have made a lot of noise in the college football playoffs that earned the ability to be there. And when you look overall, the game that changed me is when they beat Texas A&M on Saturday night by 2 touchdowns. Let me back up. I think it was by 20 points. They very, very dominated that football game. But when you look at Nicky E here, all I'm going to say it one more time, and my final words is the mic drop. Kenny Easley, UCLA. Kent Swilling, Georgia Tech, National Championship. Sean Taylor, University of Miami. Steve Atwater, Pig Seward, Arkansas. And Kyle Hamilton, Notre Dame. This young man is going to be right there when we all said and done 20 years from now. We're going to be talking about him in the same breath. Back to you, Harper.
You mentioned Georgia Tech. That's where he started his career. He was a 3-star coming out of high school. He's from Irma, South Carolina, ends up going to Tech, transfers to South Carolina, and some big things obviously followed. And speaking of big, he's a big hitter. That's the thing that I like about him. He can hit, and he'll hit you again. He'll knock you down. He might pick you up. He may not. It just depends. He may not pick you up, but he's going to knock you down the next time in the very same way. The thing I also like about him is, again, I mentioned this a little bit earlier, his ability to cover a tight end. You have no idea how much pressure that takes off a linebacker. For the linebacker, just have to worry about the running back, for example, on a pass play. For him to be able to fill in that slot because of his size and especially because of his speed, and with big NFL receivers like Warren and some of the others, Helm, that are part of the college crew that's coming out this year, nothing but a plus. Let me look at some of the other pluses. First and foremost, his speed. Again, we mentioned 4.38, his speed. And I'm going to mention it again, speed. His closing burst, right? And his ability to route recognize versus man coverage. In other words, I know what this guy's going to run. I can sense he's going to run an out route. I can sense he's going to run a post, and I don't get defeated on that too often. His diagnosis on screens, which I mentioned just a moment ago, they call it controlled aggression. Here's a guy that can get up the line of scrimmage and blow the plays up, but it's controlled in a way where he doesn't get penalties. That's a big plus for him. His physical tone on defense can energize the rest of the group. He's been seen on film doing that, and so much so that others recognize how good he is. And his ball skills. 50-50 ball, he goes up, and it says that he aggressively gets to the point of contact where the ball and the receiver is going to hit, and he violently disrupts that. So all these things are positives for him. And I mentioned also that he's a special teamer. He believes in that. He works hard at it. And that is obviously, as a rookie, going to be a key component to getting on the field and staying on it. There are a couple of minuses. Did you notice anything that has inhibited him from being that number 5, number 10, maybe number 15 pick?
No way. No say. I think when it's all said and done, one more time, when draft night happens, he's going to be maybe the one player that's going to be moving up the draft boards. And don't be surprised he gets selected in the top 10, because when you look at this football player, he played in the toughest conference all of America. I'm still going to say the SEC. He played at a high level. His size sticks out more than anything that you've been talking about. And most of all, he could play all over the field, in the box, deep safety too. Even can play the slot, can cover a tight end. What more do you want? This gentleman right here is one of the most explosive football players coming into the draft. And my final words, Mr. Harper LaBelle, atomic bomb, explosion. Back to you, Harp.
Yeah, I'm thinking mushroom cloud, right? Mushroom clouds, highlights. You know what I mean? It'll be on Sports Center highlights when he hits somebody. There is a little bit of an issue that I have, that sometimes he's out of position because he gets to the point and he may overcommit, or he'll be out of position on occasions. Not enough to where it makes a difference, but those are some of the things. And zone coverage, he could probably have some improvement there. Who couldn't, right? But very few things. And again, the speed makes a difference. You can't coach speed. I've heard it ever since I was in high school. And that, to me, sets him apart from so many of the other players. And as you mentioned, his athleticism, his savvy on the field, his strength, those are things that I think will move him up as well. So I agree with you on that. And by the way, how can any pro personnel director, general manager, or head football coach look at a guy like this and see someone else that's on the roster or on the draft board and not pick him? Just some simple thoughts that cross our mind. You gave me your final thoughts, but is there anything else you want to mention regarding Nick Emmanwori, safety out of South Carolina?
Since the Dallas Cowboys are my favorite team, Jerry Jones, son Steven, you need help on the defensive side of the ball, I will really look at this gentleman right here and playing in Dallas next season. That's how much I love this football player. This guy is what we call Jesus, Moses, David. Thank you. Back to you, Hart.
You want to see a star on the side of his helmet, don't you?
Yes, sir. No question about it.
Well, it's a very interesting selection. And I agree with you totally and completely and wholly in that. Yes, that is probably a great landing spot for him. However, there may be some other spots, and we'll talk about that. We're going to have a draft show, and we'll talk about all the first round picks, and that will be Thursday, day of the draft, the 24th. So thank you for being in cohorts with that with us here on 100 Yards of Football. For Vincent Turner, for Logan Landers, our producer and engineer, I'm Harper LaBelle saying thank you for another draft prospect show and tuning in for that. We hope you have a fantastic day, everybody. And we hope in 2 weeks that Nick Emmanwori, the safety out of South Carolina, has an equally fantastic day on that evening as well. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Have a wonderful